is that when the teenage girls find out that teenage guys struggle with the pornography, it's not that the girls are all mad at us. They just feel sorry for us that we can't relate to women in a more interesting way, because as a guy, the pornography as a guy is the perfect way for a guy to shoot his future marriage in the head. Because it trains me that girls, they're things to be used for my kicks. She's got to be constantly sexually available, physically flawless, and when you get done bored lusting after, you go to the next fantasy, and it's no big deal at all, because you can judge the value of a woman by how much lust she generates in me. And we would laugh it off. And I'm sure there's some guys in the audience, and in their heads right now, they're thinking, dude, whatever, I got some porn on the internet, and I got some Maxim magazines, it's not a problem, I'm not getting anyone pregnant. And while he laughingly tries to think it's not a problem, almost desperately try to convince himself, what happens to a young guy is he gets emasculated. Emasculation means that when a young man is robbed of the ability to be masculine. And pornography flips that backwards, so we men learn to sacrifice and empty the girls for the sake of ourselves, and we miss the whole point of manhood. And in high school, we would totally laugh it off. We're like, dude, who cares? I'm not getting anyone pregnant, it's all good. I'm not killing it, I'm not hurting anyone. We'd have no clue what we were looking at. You know, Pamela Anderson, the big supermodel for, out in Los Angeles, you know when she first posed for Playboy and she started crying? She finally pulled herself together and they took the nude photos. That when you're looking at porn, you're not looking at just some naked body, you're looking at the corpse of a woman's heart. But we would laugh it off, saying, dude, I'm not hurting anyone. We don't realize how much we're hurting ourselves. You know, Maxim magazine, it's a new smutty magazine they have for guys. You know, Maxim magazine has paid computer companies up to $20,000 a pop to generate fake cover models. I'm not saying she's airbrushed. Her legs are fake, her face is fake, her breast is fake. The whole woman is completely computer generated. So we as guys are trained to expect our wives to live up to this impossibly perfect fantasy. And where does this leave our brides one day? I had a friend, and he basically assumed, dude, who cares? I'll throw the porn away when I get married. I'm getting married in a few months. Then you can have sex whenever you want. It's all good. And the guy was divorced in 3 months. All that he did was transfer the fantasies of lust from the porn onto his bride, and the marriage was done as soon as it began. So if you think you're gonna get married as a guy and you have the porn, ask yourself one question. Ask yourself, dude, is my bride's body, is it worth waiting to see? Or is she frankly not even worth waiting to see? Because if I can trash the porn tonight, I'm training myself in faithfulness before I ever even meet that girl. And you as a guy could imagine if your future wife is at home from school right now. She's on the computer. She gets an email to invite her to visit some pornographic website of guys. I would imagine you would pray that she would have the strength just to delete it. Imagine you're carrying your wife into the honeymoon suite for your wedding night, and she's got her arms locked around your neck. And she says, honey, I'm so excited about tonight. And you're like, me too, me too, me too, me too. Walking her in there, and she says, honey, to get ready for you tonight. And you're like, She says, honey, to get ready for you tonight. She says, I've been looking at thousands of pages of naked men on the internet. You'd be like, yeah, babe, maybe wait all life, but don't you sort of have to wait with your eyes? And that's what it comes down to. If I can't say no to sex, what's my yes even worth? But I don't think that guys are the problem. I think high school guys are the solution to the entire problem, and I have the research to back me up. They just finished a study of how many high school students are having sex in America, and what they found is this. High school girls, in the last 10 years, your sexual activity rates in America have gone down about 1%. So now 54% of high school girls are virgins. What about high school guys? High school guys in America over the last 10 years, sexual activity rates have gone down 20%. So now the majority of high school guys and high school girls in America are virgins. It's starting to sweep the country. And we're not making up. I saw this at the airport the other day in Newsweek magazine, the new virginity. It's sweeping the country because we want this better kind of love. And to prove to you we all deserve it, having come with me from San Diego is my fiance, Crystalina. So please give her a warm welcome. Come on up, hon.
Good morning, everyone. Okay, now, I'm coming from a completely different angle than Jason here. When I was about a sophomore in high school, I had my first serious relationship. And after a while of dating, we thought we were in love and everything was great. And slowly, we started to get very physical. And slowly, the pressure started to set into the relationship. And he said, well, girl, if you really love me, if you truly love me, you'd prove it to me. You'd show me just how much. Well, if you aren't doing this with him, and if you aren't doing that with him, then I mean, well, what's wrong with you? Everybody's doing it. You love him, right? And I thought, well, yeah, I love him. They said, well, then what's the problem? So at the age of 15, I lost my virginity, thinking it was going to cause this huge, great emotional bond between us. We are going to be on cloud 9 and so in love. And in all actuality, it eventually destroyed any love in the relationship, and all respect was just thrown out the window. Because if I couldn't even respect my own body, how was he supposed to respect it? And after a while of dating, it seemed like he didn't want to spend time with me anymore. He was basically spending the time with my body. Now, when a girl is being used, she knows it. She knows it in the depths of her heart. She may deny it, she may ignore it, but she knows it, and I knew it. And after a while, we were constantly fighting. He was cheating on me, and we broke up and went our separate ways. Now, I will never forget the day when he walked away from me for the very last time. And as he walked away from me, all I could think about was that guy's taking something with him that never belonged to him in the first place. But I can't get it back, right? What's the point? It's already gone. So there I was in the cafeteria talking with my girlfriends. And I came to this conclusion, okay, if a guy can date me for about 6 months without sleeping with me, then he must love me. Then I'll sleep with him. And I think now 6 months, 6 months is the price that I put on my body. If he gives me just a little bit of that time and just a little bit of that attention, that's the definition of love. And I carried this mentality all through high school. He was the first guy that I slept with, but he wasn't the last, because it starts a vicious cycle. And after a while, I was pretty deep into it. Now, I'm not standing up here pointing my finger at you guys, saying, you guys, you're the problem. No. I happen to believe that you guys will be as much of a gentleman as we ladies require. Now, I wasn't acting like a lady back then, nor dressing like a lady back then. Therefore, they didn't feel the need to rise up and act like a gentleman around me. And what seems to happen sometimes is that girls will give guys sex for the sake of getting the love from them. And guys will give girls the love for the sake of getting the sex from the girls. And it can go both ways. Now, with this lifestyle, I got into the partying, I got into the drinking, I got into the clubbing. You name it, I was into it. And granted, at the time, yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun. It was very attractive, and I know what that's like. But I also know what it's like to wake up the next day when that party's over, when those friends are gone, and when I was there by myself. And I remember waking up thinking, I can't believe I did that last night. I hope I don't have to see his face in the hallway at school on Monday. What if he tells everybody what we did last night? What if I'm pregnant? What am I going to tell my mom? What if I have a disease now? What am I going to do? All of these things constantly going through my head. And the night before, my friends would always say to me, oh, it's all fun and games. Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. But I can promise you and stand up here today and say, the next morning, the fun and games was over. And I woke up hating myself, and I woke up with nothing but disgust and regret. And I knew deep in my heart, it wasn't worth it. There was a girl that came up to me after one of our talks, and she said, you know, during the talk I was thinking, all the hooking up with guys, all the going to parties, doing this and that. She goes, I realized I was just a prostitute who wasn't getting paid. And it hit her. It hit her hard. Now, after a while of living this lifestyle, my mother had an idea what was going on in my life. Most parents have an idea what's going on in your lives. As much as I thought I was fooling my mother, I was really fooling myself. And she came up to me one day and she said, Crystalina, there's a talk on relationships this weekend, and you're going to it. I said, a sex talk? Are you kidding me? I'm not going to go listen to some dork talk about sex. Thanks, but no thanks. She said, no, you're going. I don't care if you like it or not. And I thought, fine, okay. I'll go to her little talk. I'll sit in the very back of the room for 15 minutes, and I'm out of there. I have a party to go to. I have friends to see. I don't have time. And in that 15 minutes that I sat there, my life was changed. There was a guy who was very honest, blunt, and real. He talked about all of the girls, all of the sex, all the pornography, all of the partying he had been into, and he just laid it out. And I felt like that guy, he had grabbed my hand out of the audience, and he walked through my life. Like he could see the things I was most ashamed of and hiding, and I thought, well, what's the difference? He's done the same exact things I've done, and I just watched him, and he just had this peace, this joy, and this confidence